As we go past, look up at the top of that airplane. You see there's 4 kind of level areas up on top of there. Well, there used to be clear plexiglass domes mounted in that location, and they take student navigators along, and they learn celestial navigation while on board. And they had a big radar underneath the belly for learning radar navigation. Well, a couple of A-10 warthogs coming into base just behind that airplane over there. We never know what's going to be coming in and out when we're going around the tour, but I'll try to point them out. And then that little airplane there, it's kind of hard to see here, the skinny one pointed away from us. That was a C-97, then they put it on steroids. Put that big bulge up on top, and as we look down the left side from this angle, you notice there's 2 bulges sticking out the left side there. Those are actually hinges. On the ground, they can disconnect the whole perimeter of that airplane and swing the nose to the left side. Then they load segments of Saturn rockets in there and fly them from where they're manufactured in California back to the Cape in Florida to be assembled into launch vehicles. And there's still a couple of these aircraft flying, although nowadays the Saturn system has been replaced by something newer and different. But there are also some jet aircraft configured somewhat like this. They're being utilized for those big, heavy, well, not so much heavy, but really oversized loads they have to carry. Those components are way too big to put onto a truck or a trailer or a train, I should say. So therefore, they have to carry those components across the country. Somebody said it takes about 4 fuel stops for that thing to go across country when it's loaded up. Probably even when it's not loaded, there's so much drag on it. Back to the left side now, this 4-engine turboprop aircraft is a Douglas C-133 Cargo Master. It's another long-range, heavy-lift transport type, got turboprop engines. As we go past, you're going to notice there's sort of steel bands around the airplane. The story behind that is, late in the service life of the C-133, 2 of them crashed over water, and they didn't know what caused them. They weren't able to recover any of the wreckage or anything. And then finally a 3rd one crashed over land, and they were able to reconstruct and found that the cause was fatigue cracking up on top of the airplane just forward of the wing. So the fix was to put these steel bands on around all the remaining airplanes to preclude that from happening again. Once they'd done that, the guys that flew it always referred to it as a flying beer keg. So on the right side, number 4505 aircraft and Coast Guard markings, but the Air Force also flew some of these, is a Fairchild C-123 Provider. Interesting history on these airplanes is that originally they didn't have engines, they were gliders, actually. They put a couple glider pilots in front, fill the aircraft with troops, and tow it behind a big transport type airplane. As they approached the front lines, they'd cut the glider loose, and it would fly in and land behind enemy lines, and the guys would get off and go fight the war. The aircraft would probably be abandoned at that location. Usually they couldn't get them back out of there. But later on, they had Fairchild modify them by putting an engine on each wing. There's a big fuel tank behind that. The black area behind each engine is actually a fuel tank on there. And they were used as a sort of a rough field cargo type aircraft, we'll say, but somewhat for transport also. Okay, another big transport here on the left, we're just about through with transports, is this Douglas C-124 Globemaster, one of the very early heavy lift aircraft the Air Force operated. On this airplane, you notice the doors are up underneath the nose, so they open side to side on the ground only, and there's a ramp comes down. Inside the airplane, there's actually 3 different decks. On the lower deck, you could drive an 18-wheel truck and trailer up inside there and take off with it, or you could have personnel or different cargo loads dispersed throughout the 3 decks up there. Another interesting feature on the 124 is there's actually 2 tunnels in the wing. In flight, the flight engineer could go out through those tunnels and service the engines if he needed to. And the airplane's not pressurized, therefore it had to fly down fairly low, and it was always kind of bouncing around in the weather. So that for that reason, the guys that flew it always gave it the nickname of Old Shaky. And right close aboard on the right side, pointing right at us, is a Lockheed AP-2 Neptune. The P-2V Neptune, which is the prototype of this type, was a Navy land-based patrol airplane. Their mission was to go out and locate any shipping threats or submarine threats, whatever. During the Vietnam conflict, they took a few of those out of storage, modified them to what you see here. They put that low light level camera under nose called a FLIR, a forward-looking infrared radar on there, and a different radar underneath the belly. These were used mostly for night missions along the Ho Chi Minh Trail so they could locate enemy movements. And back behind there, the big blue and white airplane with NASA on the tail. Actually, originally this was a KC-135 tanker. It doesn't have the boom on it anymore. NASA did not have need for that. But they acquired this airplane. They put padding all around the interior of the airplane. They take astronaut trainees and scientists aloft, get up to altitude and dive down, start building up speed, then pull up and be climbing fairly steeply. As the airplane slowed, they push forward and go to zero gravity or weightlessness for about 40 seconds. And then the astronauts could practice operating in that environment. Then they'd be through with that, they'd dive down, pick up speed, and it kept repeating that maneuver probably 40, 45 times in a given flight. Everybody on board the airplane, including the pilots, were airsick by that time. So the nickname of the airplane became the Vomit Comet. Well, on the left side with a red cross on the tail is a Boeing C-97 Stratofreighter, excuse me. This is the type of airplane that great big fat Albert was before they modified it to carry the Saturn rocket. This particular C-97 actually was never an Air Force airplane, although the Air Force operated a lot of these airplanes. This one was always operated by the International Red Cross for relief missions. And that's why it has that Red Cross logo up on the tail. Back to where I'm sorry, I have to keep bouncing around, so the only way we can cover this. Back to the right side now. Close aboard is number 197 airplane. It's a Navy carrier-based anti-submarine aircraft, the Grumman S-2F tracker. Well, if you say S-2F quickly, it comes out Stoof, and the guys at Flutes have always said they're flying the Stoof. And their mission was to fly down low. They have a device, you can't really see it from here, underneath the rudder, back in the back there. It looks like, you'll look back later, you kind of see a white football-sized pod back there. It's actually on the end of about a 10-foot boom. It's called a MAD boom. That stands for Magnetic Anomaly Detector. As anything steel is moving underneath the water for their mission, it disrupts the Earth's magnetic field just a little bit. That device can detect that disturbance, so they know there's a submarine down there. There's probably nothing else that would be doing that. And if they felt it was necessary, they could drop torpedoes or bombs onto the airplane. So that's the S-2F, the Stoof. The next airplane there, number 0.